Hello and welcome to another amazing night of Games Culture Circle. Tonight we're going to talk about play money, money, games, and business. And if we look at money in general, we say it's a unifying global principle, and it's hard to imagine a world without money or trading. And if we look at games, a lot of them are also based on this economic concept. And in some games, you can even make money in the real world. We invited fantastic guests to talk about all this stuff. Unfortunately, Maya Göpel, the activist and director of Future Justice, is sick and cannot be here tonight. All the best from here. And another person you might have expected on stage is the one and only host of this show, Uke Bosse. But as you know, Games Culture Circle is a place where anything can happen. So we have our Skype kick live and direct from New York. Please welcome Uke Bosse. Uke, tell me, what are you doing in New York? Why am I here?
Well, the thing is, I have to make money as well, so I had to come over here and earn lots of money. So actually, I'm just on a holiday.
I'm very glad that you offered support whenever we need it. So if you have questions to Uke, or if Uke, you have any questions, just like wave your hand, do whatever you want, okay? And now to come to a man who we're really happy that he's here. He's the founder of the Virtual Policy Network, writer about philosophy, ethics, and law of technology, computer games, and virtual worlds. He advised the UK government, the OECD, the Council of Europe, and many more. And he's the advisor to the Board of Digital Games Research Association. Please welcome on stage Ray Reynolds. We have a quote from you.
Oh, God.
You said,
I was drunk.
No, you were not. You sent it via email, I know. You said all money is play money.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give the short one. All money is play money. Let's talk about the ways of earning money in games. Let's talk about gold farming and all that stuff.
Okay. I guess the big change in gaming came when we started having multiplayer gaming, which I guess to do the history stuff, that the first one people generally think is built in 1979, University of Essex, by Richard Bartle and Roy Trebshaw. And the big difference when you get multiple people playing the same game, and especially games where the more time you spend in the game, the more things you accumulate and the more power you accumulate, is that when people start to become passionate about it, people want to either shortcut or go faster, and therefore you start to get this exchange between people who've got time and people who've got money. So when we were playing this game around here, even though I understand almost no words of German, it seemed like people were starting to get into potentially bartering to try and get advantage within the game.
They also started to cheat. That was like an attempt of cheating.
Of course. So it's simply that is going on. People are exchanging basically the time poor who are cash rich are exchanging with the opposite. The industrialization of that is really very like the industrialization of any other economy, where if we want basic work done, it gets moved out to economies which have got cheaper and cheaper workforces. Therefore, people have industrialized it in both areas of Eastern Europe, areas of Asia, where they pay people to play a game, and then mainly people in the West buy that, and it vaults them up the game.
Have you ever met these people? Have you ever been there to Asia and like actually seen how they're working, how this like really looks like?
I've not, no, but actually the title of this presentation, Play Money, comes from a book called Julien Debelle. And Julien is a journalist and writer and academic, and he has actually gone out and looked at the Circle Sweatshop. Well, he did it himself for a year, which was a book, Play Money. But he's also, because there's all this talk about Chinese sweatshops, is what it's always said. So he's like, well, I'll go and try and find one. And he actually did. He found gold farmers, I think, in both China and Eastern Europe.
And I think in Mexico.
Mexico,
if I remember. Is there anyone who ever like bought money, something in World of Warcraft, eBay? Is there anyone here?
It's funny for such a vast industry how you never meet anyone who's actually bought money. Interesting that.
Because it's something like people don't want to admit. Huh? It's something about ethics, like should I do it, shouldn't I do it?
Many gamers frown upon it. It's basically cheating. I mean, well, what you're getting in games often is badges of honour. You have a certain thing that's because you've gone through the trial. Even if the trial is just spending 6 weeks, 2 hours a day, doing a specific task, at least you've gone through that, and people are just shortcutting it with money.
Like, I had the impression the people on Wall Street, they are gamers, and they're just like gaming the money because these amounts they had, it was so absurd. Is that the other way around?
That's just the environment in which it occurs. I don't think it's a good or bad thing in and of itself. It's just when that's sometimes applied to things like financial markets, it can go very wrong. But there are very serious examples which are very good. So I think one application of gaming, if I remember correctly, is at looking, I think there are X-rays or scans. So you get to look at this and examine it for certain characteristics, and people have crowdsourced and gamed that as a way to actually do kind of like diagnosis, because you get both the wisdom of crowds and you get the gamification of it as well. So a lot of these, I don't think they're intrinsic to the things we're talking about, they're the application of those things.
Thanks, Ren, for the moment. Uke is back. Hi, Uke. When it comes to serious business, you might know him. Some of you saw him before, and I know you're a well-known person. He's the former director of the IGDA, the International Game Developers Association, which is the professional society for over 10,000 video and computer game developers worldwide, and he's the founder of Perimeter Partners, where he works as a games consultant. Please welcome on stage, Jason Della Rocca. Welcome, Jason.
I want to make a comment before you say anything.
Yes, please.
Is that okay?
Okay.
I want to challenge some of the statements that Ren made. Oh, hello.
Go ahead. Everything can happen tonight, right?
You might want to sit over there. Well, this idea that sort of adding the monetary or money element to play, I think is two very different things. I mean, there's been recent research on the effects that money has, or even rewards have, in terms of motivation and inefficiency and so on. There's a great book called Drive, which looks into that and really talks about how introducing money or reward mechanisms actually ruins things and makes people less efficient because they're overly concerned about getting the money or so on, as opposed to the pure joy of the activity itself.
So you think it really destroys the idea of playing games?
Well, yeah, maybe I haven't thought it through to that extent, but I mean, I just wanted to challenge the sense that, okay, if we have a game and if there's money involved, then all of a sudden people are going to be better at it and more efficient. I think you really have to question the effect that reward or monetization has to motivation and so on, which is independent of games. I mean, this could be anything in terms of. It doesn't have to be gameplay. It could just be a hobby or something you enjoy doing. And now if I pay you to do it, it kind of changes the whole dynamic of that activity. I
think it depends. I mean, if you're focusing more on the externalization, then possibly I do. I mean, it depends which. So the example. So some people were looking at different types of ways of trying to gamify slimming. And one of the systems that they had was, okay, let's get groups of people together to work together and then work against each other as groups, because that'll be really good because they'll motivate each other, etc., etc. What actually happened was they picked on the person who wasn't slimming the fastest and basically just terrorized them into they had to keep up. So the game system in that example worked really, really badly. So then they had to go, oh, you've actually got to make it more generic. So... See, I think it depends very, very much on the context. I mean, I think I agree. If you're playing and you're just doing it for money, you're not necessarily playing. You then become a professional person and you're just doing an activity which looks very like play, and it's not, yeah.
business is not necessarily combined with having a lot of money, right? It's also like the idea of how to make a business.
So a big part, so a big part of it is, well, if I have an idea and I want to, create a game, well, where am I going to get that money? Do I have enough of my own savings? Am I going to find an angel investor? Am I going to get funding from the German media fund, et cetera, et cetera? You have to look at all the options of where. Sorry, he's not going to give me money? No. So you have to think about the funding, but a big part of even getting the funding is thinking about, well, what I'm creating, how is that going to generate revenue? And oftentimes, I've done sessions before about getting the funding, with a panel of angel investors and VCs and so on. And the question always comes up, how can I pitch to investors, potential investors, so that they'll give me the money? And the traditional developer thinks about design and technology, right? They think about their awesome idea. And traditionally when you're presenting or pitching to a VC, you have 20 slides or 20 minutes. And they'll take 19 of the slides to show you graphics and a demo and your awesome tech and how cool your idea is and all the backstory, all that stuff. And on the last slide, it's like, and we need $1 million and we're going to pay some people. And there's no the business story is not there, the business model is not there, how are you going to generate revenue, et cetera. Whereas the investor wants the complete opposite, right? The investor wants 19 slides or 19 minutes on how you're going to scale, what's the revenue model, how are you going to monetize, where's the money going to be used, how's the company structured, who owns the IP, all this kind of stuff. And on the last slide, oh yeah, well, it's about some robots and lizards and they're in space.
But
because in many ways the idea itself is kind of inconsequential to how are you going to make this a reality and make money from it.
But what is your advice? I'm sure there are a lot of game designers here that are very good in technology, very good in design, have great ideas, but have no clue how to run the business thing. What is your advice? Go and study for another 5 years?
That's how I make money.
Come on, we invited you here. Give us some little bits.
Do I get some oysters?
Of course you get oysters.
So one bit of advice is get someone who knows business.
Any questions?
It's amazing. It is amazing the extent to which a programmer and a designer get together and have absolutely no clue how business or cash flow or any of that stuff works. Legal, nothing. They don't know anything. They just start coding or building, and then it's like, oh, geez, well, are we going to sell this, and how do we do this? And they get oftentimes. Not only is it a question of cluelessness, and so they don't really know how to do or what to do, but it also becomes a question of distraction. In that, well, Ren's supposed to be coding, but someone's got to fill out the tax paperwork, and someone's got to call the bank. Now you can put up the boring sign because Ren's doing the boring stuff. Thank you, Ren. No. But so it's a question of distraction, right? So if I'm the designer and Ren's the programmer and we've got our awesome stuff that we're working on, but now, someone's got to go pitch it to the publisher and someone's got to worry about the funding and who's going to go see the venture capitalists. Well, all of a sudden now Ren's not doing his job, and how are we going to progress on the project? So, amongst many other things you can do, one thing I will often suggest is go get someone who actually has some business expertise. That's the same way that you're so passionate about programming, you're so passionate about design, get that person who's also so passionate about the business side and bring them in.
But isn't that a problem? A lot of people I know, they don't take gaming for serious. When I come up with an idea and say I want to make millions of euros or dollars with games.
The reality is, most ideas suck. No, most ideas are kind of meaningless. In the game industry in particular, there is no market for ideas alone. In the film industry, you can maybe say that a script is kind of an idea, and there is a sort of a market for those ideas. But in the game industry, there is no market for ideas. I cannot write down a game design document and then sell it because it's such an awesome, robots in space and whatever. Nobody's going to buy that. Absolutely nobody. I'm okay.
I want to invite our next guest because,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so far. He's an author and expert on culture theory and formed a company called Ludic Philosophy. Please welcome on stage Martin Burkhardt.
He's a professional wrestler. He told me he's a champion, Canadian champion. I should be aware. That's true.
Martin, we just heard that like Facebook and iPhone, iPad applications are easy access to like gamings. You're also like in this kind of industry. What are you planning? Can you tell us about your Ludic Philosophy company? What are you doing?
Oh, that's a very long story because it's so improbable in a way, and everything he told about the VCs doesn't count for our business. It's I just tell very few words because it's so super secret. It is a social game, and we are called Neo Analog, which is kind of funny. So in fact, it is a social game, but it's working like a very old. I'm a silver ager. I just asked him how old he is, and I'm beyond 50.
You actually don't have a Facebook account.
I don't.
He's developing games for Facebook, and he has no Facebook.
Yes,
account.
that's the Facebook API.
That's amazing, isn't it? But I read an article of yours, Martin, and you were comparing like social games with a new economy and the crash. Can you explain what did you mean?
Yes, since I'm a silver ager in gaming, I wrote a lot about theory of money. And I'm so old that I really recall the times when money was not a belief system, but gold-backed. The times before Bretton Woods, before the societies left Bretton Woods, and before they went into the state which we call free-floating. I would say free-floating economies, where the value of money is something like a belief system, is very comparable to games. That's kind of new, but I see in my lifetime, I see the gap, and I see a cleavage between a society which was before games, and the so-called post-material societies, which are in games, which go in-game industry, in-game money, etc. So that's the cleavage. That's interesting. To me, personally, it was very interesting to study that.
But you also said like a game like Mafia Wars, for example, on Facebook. You think it's like reduced to like there's nothing left of gaming?
Yeah, Bing Gordon was the founder of, is the founder of Electronic Arts. He was the one who intrigued the guys from Zynga Games, which imitated games like Farmville and Frontierville, etc., to go into these branches, which were kind of new. And he just said that Mafia Wars is the greatest game ever. And if you think of Mafia Wars, it is a game stripped of everything which is playful. There's no playful attitude anymore besides the Tamagotchi. I would call it masturbation logic. So it is much more. Yeah, you have to be serious about it. It's masturbation. It's fine. I love myself. I mean, this is why I love masturbation. Like Woody Allen sex, it's masturbation, sex with somebody I love.
Now we know why he doesn't have time for a Facebook account.
Yeah, that's it.
But let's come back to this gaming point.
Yeah.
Is it like something you think of when you're now planning, like?
Yeah, we are doing a games company.
To do a game. Is it like? Is your like game going direction Mafia Wars, or
no.
What is your intention of? Do you want to enrich more these games, like with the things that you say like, that are lacking?
Yeah, I am very impressed by the capitalistic side of the social media games or social games, because it's about the business model, which is very innovative, which is the purest capitalism you can think of. And I'm kind of impressed by that because it takes business models quite seriously. So, but the games we are in, and this is why I'm an author, it is much more intrigued by very old-fashioned media and very old-fashioned ways of storytelling, but we're telling a transmedial game, without 3D, because 3D is like the jealous god Israel. He won't let any god beside himself exist. So we omitted 3D and said, okay, we just do everything with video, audio, text, whatever. So it's a social game because it's about participation, people partaking and getting into communication, into real communication, not this Facebook crowd just visiting and looking and staring at these guys playing, but really getting people intrigued by communication. So it's a social game.
And what is your intention? I'm sure you want to make money with it, no?
Yeah, sure, but this is, I mean, it's a side effect. It's a collateral. It's a collateral damage, I'd say.
I think this is the point where we should open up. Like we have two consultants, so to say, and one guy with an idea.
No, because I mean, everybody was talking. The fetish word in the VC world is scalability, and scalability means you do just a program once, and it scales up. You have masses and masses pouring into that game, gaining you money, writing checks, and doing some micropayments, etc., etc. And this game may be stupid, it may be a perfect machine. They were always talking about these perfect machines, and this worked for 1 and 2 years. Zynga is the symptom for that. But I see a lot of companies just copycatting these models, and they don't work anymore.
So, you know, well, interestingly, part of getting the money from the VC is understanding that game and gaming that system,
yeah.
And getting around those points of risk aversion. But, you know, I contend or I challenge the point about, like, Zynga's the only one that can make, you know, that business model work. I mean, there's plenty of companies and studios that are succeeding.
Think about Second Life. Can you compare it to the Facebook games, I call them?
It's not a game, it's a platform. So no, not
but
really.
Is it like when Martin says like there's nothing left that is playful?
Well, there's lots of playful things. Second Life is a platform in which one can create three-dimensional objects and do things with them. People use it for education, people use it for games, people use it for online sex, people used to use it for gambling until it was banned in there. But it's more like Facebook than the games which are in Facebook.
Please.
Well, it's a structure.
Second Life.
It's a structure with an API to which one can write. And it's quite difficult to write to, which is what one of the issues with Second Life is. It's technically quite complicated to create things within it.
You don't really agree, do you?
No, my point is totally different, but no, I agree with him to a certain extent. But Second Life to me was as a symptom interesting. Second Life was there had been massive multiplayer games before, so online gaming was nothing special. Okay, but when Second Life came up to the stage, it was why was it such a big success, such a big media hype because of that? Because it was the moment that every ordinary man could understand that you can gain some money with games or something like an online platform, whatever, like a 3D world. And this is.
I don't think we agree.
But no, there's something different.
But people weren't making money from gaming. There are very few games that I can think of within Second Life that made money. It was mainly virtual sex, virtual clothing, architecture.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, isn't Minecraft exactly the same thing? And they're making money as hell. It's just like a big playground.
Yeah, I mean, Minecraft is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a very different kind of platform than Second Life is.
The first repercussions in the press were you can sell real estate in Second Life. This was the main thing why it became a media hype. You can sell something which doesn't exist. It was a virtual good. It is no random that it was something which is virtual on the other side.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just
saying
saying there was nothing about the gameness of it. Yes, it became big in the press because you could buy and sell virtual objects. Yes.
Yeah. Making money.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So, if we don't know what we're talking about, I want to open up for questions. Any kind of questions?
Would you agree with me when we talk about play money, we're actually talking about the global economy?
Well, as I mean, money is merely a token of exchange. The value of it is just the belief that people have in the value of it, and the derivative is a belief in a belief. It's a kind of second or third order level of belief. And even at the at the kind of instrumental level, most of the money that I have personally is an entry in a database which sits in a bank somewhere, and it only exists because there's a record of the fact that it's in a database in a bank somewhere. It could disappear. It has no materiality to it.
I tend to agree with actually some of your points earlier in that you know, all money to some extent is play money, and a lot of the, you know, the markets, I mean, just one big game really. I mean, it's I don't really see it, you know, much different than just a global game.
No, I would point out this is a real and an important turning point in history, because I mean the end of the gold standard, the old belief system, which is in fact a religious, somewhat religious belief
gold
system.
Is just an element. We just happen to value that over something else. It's a mere contingency.
Yeah, it's a mere contingency, but it symbolizes something. Take all our words we have for our debts, for example, what we owe to people, and you see, everything's derived in the medieval religious system. I mean, we substituted for any word we had for some moral problems, some economical one. So our capitalist system is a religious system, and in this way, Marx's remark is really interesting, because we have to change our religious system, which is interesting. We just don't take care of virtue. We don't believe in real goods anymore. We believe in virtual goods. This is something new. So we're talking about entertainment, we're talking about gamification, as if attention was something which is monetizable. That's something new. That's something new.
Well, I think the phraseology is something new. I think the notion of the entertainment of
giving value to something that's intangible, that's not new, because someone wrote a book that called it attention economy.
And the advertising industry wouldn't have existed for...
This guy I talked about. Attention Economy 87.
Yeah, sure, but that's just a label on something which we were doing before. We just happened to give it a label at that point.
Yeah. Now, if you study economy, and if you study the classics in economy, you would never ever find anybody thinking of attention economy, let's say in the 19th century. It's absolutely impossible.
No, I mean, there's precedent for valuation of intangible, and the accountants call it, I mean, in accounting terms, goodwill, right? I mean, literally, to factor, why is the company valued so much versus actual assets? Well, that's the intangible bit. We call that goodwill on the books, because there's some value to the brand or the company in the marketplace. I mean, I'm totally disagreeing.
And I think in Adam Smith's kind of notion of economics and the ethical notion of economics and what markets could do for good and things like that was using very much the same types of concepts, but just using a whole different vocabulary for them.
Thank you very much. I want to call Uke again. Uke?
Yeah.
Any comments? Because we're about to end the show.
I had this, through all this talk about mafia wars and masturbation, I had this really great idea for this game called Masturbation War.
On purpose, I was doing
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Uke, and thanks to our amazing guests, Ren Reynolds, Jason De La Rocca, and Martin Burkhardt. Please give a big applause to the guys. The next Games Culture Circle is going to take place the 16th of June, and then we're going to talk about reality. Maybe we're going to see one of you again. I'm sure you could say something. Because there's the first street game festival in Berlin called You Are Go. And now I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope I see you all at the bar. Spend your play money, and thank you.
On purpose, I was doing